Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Hi,
This
Diana.
was, oh, this was an insane ending to the show. And so my question kind of for you is, how exactly did you go about capturing Caesar? Caesar is completely deranged in a sense. He's very focused, but being from not being blinded by his focus. I feel that there are moments when he is and moments when he's not. How do you balance those moments when it's not complete rage and it's actually strategic?
Great question. How do you balance it? Well, I don't know if I was going for balance. I was going for unbalanced, unpredictable. So I guess in that sense, playing with the range of, you know, rage to quiet and cunning, that creates an unpredictability with him. So you never quite know what version of him you're going to get. The only thing that is for sure is that you're going to get a version that's in control. And I think that's what's so unpredictable about the finale is that you see this character who, in his own imagining of himself, is forever in control and forever dominant. And then to have this very unexpected, not only for Asher to talk back, but to strike him down, it's almost comical in how shocking it is for him. Like I think he's laughing all the way to the bloody end in
Yes,
disbelief, in disbelief. You know.
completely. Um, I want to talk about the relationship between him and Cornelia. They were equals, no matter what. And
Mhm.
with that being said, there is that hierarchy of who has the purse strings. Did at any point was there ever a moment of insecurity because he had less than her? Or was it we're in this together no matter what?
What we spoke about was actually wanting to see behind closed doors the version of Caesar and Cornelia that no one else gets to see. And in public, you have this very powerful character. But behind closed doors, I think she's the one, you know, not pulling the strings, but there is an equality between them and also such a love and admiration for her that is very different to the version that the rest of the world gets to see. So we wanted to try and create a little insight for the audience to like what these two are like when no one's watching.
So there was
Mm.
also what I wanted to know with his power and absolute power. He was striving towards absolute power. But by any chance, did he expect for those enemies, those list of enemies that he's crossed throughout the many years, to ever come back and haunt him? It happened to be Asher at the moment. But was there any chance that he prepared for others?
No, and that was his downfall. You know, that's what you know. That's I think what his Achilles heel was that he didn't expect that to be any repercussion. You know, we're watching power go unchecked. And in his view, he thought that he was, you know, ascending to greatness, to godlike status. And I think the lesson is that eventually karma catches up with you, you know?
Why didn't he view Asher as I can use him as someone who's strategic? You don't have to like him, but that strategic way that he's able to think could have helped Caesar in the long run.
What's the question?
The question is, why didn't he use Asher as a tool? He used him as
Oh,
humiliation.
yeah. I think there were moments where he did use him, you know. I think he saw Asher as like a plaything that he could do with whatever he wanted. And I think what he what he what was unexpected or he didn't he underestimated was how much Asher would take. You know, you kind of you kick the dog so many times and eventually the dog snaps back. He didn't he didn't hold Asher in high enough regard to ever think that he would be so bold as to snap back. And ultimately that was his downfall, you know, underestimating him.
Right. How does he view what I want to know is with Cornelia, um, what does he want now that he's gone though, but what would he like her to do in his absence?
Oh, as the spirit and dead Caesar? What does he
No,
want?
as Caesar's moved on, do you want her to avenge his death? Do you want her to change course a certain way? Obviously, he
Revenge.
can't. Yeah.
Revenge. Burn the place down. That's what he wants.
What would have, if he had lived, what would that absolute reign look like to him?
We all know the historical figure of Caesar and what he was, on the make to becoming. So if he hadn't um, received a sword to the face at the hands of Ashur, we would see him, continue to grow and build the influence and power and become the emperor of the Roman Empire, which we know him to be.
Because this
Mm.
is an alternate version, was there any time where you stuck to who Caesar was when it came to the research and studying him, of what we know, or did you allow yourself to just play around?
No, there was a mixture of both camps, like it's a historical figure and you can read the biographies and you can do the research, but also it's from such a long time ago, we don't it's all hearsay, we don't actually know what he was like as a person. There are stories of him as a young man traveling and kind of his well, you can also, what's so incredible about this role is that you can read scripture that he wrote. You can read his diaries that have existed and been maintained. So you start from that point, and then of course it is a reimagining of history, and you kind of service what Stephen the Knight, how he wrote the character and what he wanted energetically. Um, so yeah, it's sort of you straddle two camps, a bit of history, but also there's a freedom to kind of have creative flair with it.
And what do you feel that Cornelia kind of gave him, aside from there was the monetary and the love? What do you feel that she fueled within him?
Ambition.
Mhm.
I think they're both ambitious and they fuel each other.
And also with this finale, what would you have said aside from his death? Um, would have been was a scene that was truly delightful to play in.
Mm. Aside from that last scene,
From that last scene, I'm gonna assume that would have been the best one. But aside from
yeah, I really actually really a scene that stands out is a scene between Caesar and Opita. They're at like a they're at the party at the party before the games, and just you see his cunning and manipulation and how he can be dangerous while still being quiet. I kind of like that sort of idea of him, the ultimate snake of like there's there's power, but you don't when you're a powerful person, you don't necessarily need to be the loudest person in the room. And I think we saw that in the way he interacted with Opera and kind of got what he wanted from him, um, kind of cloak and daggers in a way.
who would have Caesar been without that power?
Who would he have been without that power? Can't really imagine Caesar without the power. It's such a big defining part of who he is. I don't think he would know himself without it. He's so ambitious and so driven that I think he'd forever be chasing that.
Did the ambition fuel the power, or was it vice versa?
I think a bit of both. I think he, in his essence, carried himself in a powerful nature, but that was driven by his ambition. And the more ambitious he became, the more power he was rewarded with. Kind of went hand in hand.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. Excellent depiction, and that finale,
Yeah,
amazing.
thank
So
you. Thanks
sorry.
so much for your questions.
Thank you.